Hey there, my name's Andy O'Neill, and I am here with my longtime client and friend, Matt Ruedlinger. Would you introduce yourself to the watching audience?
Sure. My name is Matt Ruedlinger. As Andy says, I know more than he does, and I'm going here to teach you whatever you need to know about. How's that? Just to give them an idea of what it's like to work together with Andy. This is the kind of relationships you can have, and it's kind of nice. You can, when you're dealing with all this crazy automation, you can say, "Oh, fun."
It is fun. It can be fun. I mean, we've worked together like every week, almost every week for over a year, multiple days per week for over a year. So when you spend that kind of time with somebody on Zoom, you get to know them.
Yeah, and you have to find ways to cut through some of the the tension sometimes that goes into when you're trying to solve something at all time with everything you're trying to do. I mean because that's what you're doing, right? You're trying to solve things. So I
Right.
think, yeah, but I
Right.
think we've got similar personalities, which has been nice as well.
Thanks. Some people don't think I have a personality. Appreciate that. So tell me about your business. Tell me about what we've been building because I can't remember, and what it is to build co-build with me and that kind of stuff.
Sure. So we work with property management companies who do online stores, and everything that we do is pretty customized for the client. So there's a lot of variations that can happen
How
based on.
many how many stores? How many online stores do you run for your clients?
We probably have 45 or so right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
So
and then
so you
those
know a thing or
feed
two about online stores, about WooCommerce.
a few, and then those serve communities. So we have over 1,000, probably 1,500 or so communities that are accessing these stores that we set up for the management companies. So you got different users, you got different approvers, you got just different products and things like that. So, guys, I'm trying to remember what we first set up to do as far as automation, what that was. But I mean, once you get started, it opens up, like you start something small and it opens up to, oh, wow, that made this easier. So now I want to, you know, expand on it. Um, but we do things from, I mean, as far as automating, I mean, we're automating emails, we're using Monday and Knack, Make, all those together with our internal teams, automating
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks. So, like when we place an order on our store, I think maybe that's what the first thing we did. When an order was placed on our store using WordPress WooCommerce, taking that data and creating the estimate that we need into QuickBooks the way we need it, with the data. Um, we kind of started with that, and then the whole thing with the sales tax, like when they had that situation.
What
Um,
sales tax? It wasn't in QuickBooks.
yeah, right. That was it. So, and I think, like, and for us, we ship to so many different states, and when you reach a certain threshold, whether it's a number of sales or quantity of transactions or a dollar amount, that's kind of like your notification that you need to register in the state. Well, we built a platform that's with our automation that tells us the number of transactions and the sales, and so allows us to always know where we're at with it.
Yep. And that's referred to as Nexus, correct?
Yes,
If
yes, the
you're in
Nexus.
Nexus with a state, and all the thresholds for Nexus are different. Transactions, dollar amounts, transactions and dollar amounts, or whatever. So
Yep. Yeah, so it's just, it opens up multiple gates of opportunities to, just create consistency and, keep a track of things.
so if you didn't have this, I mean, basically, we're building an ERP alongside of with NAC, alongside the systems you mentioned, like how much is this saving you and your team, on a weekly or monthly basis?
I mean, as far as time, it's saving a lot of time. Gosh, put a lot. And not
I
only
didn't warn
that,
you for that. I didn't warn you of that
yeah,
question.
yeah, I don't know the exact time, but I think probably the other upside of it is that our customer experience is consistent because the things that we're doing, which is really key, like, you know, um, order confirmations, the confirmations, the approval the way we work through the approval status and stuff, orders that need approval, ones that don't, how those are taken care of on the back end for us. And so um, it just is a better experience for the customer, and it's consistent. And that to me is probably one of the worst things you could have is inconsistent levels of service. It's well, this was quick this time, and next time it wasn't, or
Right.
I mean, you can go down that rabbit hole, and that could be all sorts of things. So it's made that a really streamlined process, and allow us to function the way we do, and yet still customize the process based on how the customer works as well, which is huge. We're not having to reinvent our internal process just because they need a different setup. We can work within their parameters, kind of funnel it into how we need the data for the system, and then when we export it, we put it back out the way they need it to them too. So it's a
Right.
nice to be able to do that.
And you've got, through this process creation and, making things standardized, that doesn't necessarily affect your customers because each of the sites can have whatever products they want to purchase. So they get to choose like what categories of products and what kind of things are available. But it's from the point of the sale through the rest of the process that it's the systematized, consistent process.
Yeah, I mean, you think of a web store, it's a store. You think pretty basic, ordering products, but it's like what happens after that. That we're doing. With the system, we're able to we build a dashboard for the customer that they can put the users, and then they can say, okay, this user requires an approval or does not. And then if it does, who is that person? Who does it go to, right? So now, if we have a customer, and let's say they have 50 users, and every 50, each one of those users has a different person that needs to approve their orders. As soon as that order is placed, whoever that approver is gets the confirmation immediately. So, that's that, and that gives them that customization to decide, do they need that approval, or if they don't, then it will automatically feed it right into our system so we can process it. So again, not every user may need approval, but we give them that ability to customize it however they need it to be done, and then you know before it would come to us to process. So I mean that's just one of the elements, but by building that out like that, it allows us to offer that and to do those kind of things, and building that dashboard with the database as well. We can show the customers these are the number of orders that are waiting for approval as well, or these are the number of users, these are your sales, and you just really create customized tools that benefit them and us as well.
Right. So, what's the most exciting or the coolest thing or the most valuable thing we've built in a year plus together?
Hmm. I mean, I just think I mean, to say one element of it, it's neat how it all works together. I don't know if there's one thing well, I take that back. We just finished it. I think that we're generating the badges, that a a customer puts in the image, and we require a headshot. And so if they don't upload a headshot, we're using AI technology that will take that image, put it into what we need, the ratio that we need it to go on the badge. They put in the rest of the information. We built the HTML file to create that badge, and then it basically, they place the order, and then we require proof approvals, and the automation creates that badge, ready to go for proof. We don't have to touch anything with it on our end, and if they approve it without us having to make any changes, it'll send it right off to the manufacturer. So, and then puts a copy of the process in our job folder, letting us know that it's been done. So really, if there's no change to be done on it, it's a hands-off completely for us at that point.
Yeah.
That's probably the most exciting one, because
That was my favorite too. Just the, especially, and I actually, when we were testing that, I threw a full like waist up shot as like 26 megabyte image through the process, and it shrunk it down to a more manageable size, and then it cropped it right on the head. So, because you have no idea what pictures you're going to get from, hey, stand up there, click, and you get a full body thing, and that's not going to work for a badge. So you got that AI, that Cloudinary is what we used, is that for that AI to crop in on the face, and that was my answer too.
yeah, that's been fun. That's been an interesting project, but definitely been fun, and just like a lot of learning as well for me, as well. Which that's the other part. I think that you probably on this side of the table, it's nice to have an understanding of like the process and how everything's working. And I would say, from hiring developers in the past to build a plug-in for our company to use, and then if we need to make a change or something, you have to kind of go back, and it's updating that whole plug-in, coming back to it with what we're doing. We can go into that specific area that we need to make that update, and make those changes. And it's not like, it's quicker. It's actually, once it's built, as you're growing, your company's growing, you need to make changes. It's quicker, it's more cost effective, and you can have more, you can actually customize it even more, because you're kind of like go into the specific area that you need to change, versus, just sending off the whole plugin.
Yeah. So when we started in November of 23, what would you say where were you at on your knack scale, or your make scale of being able to automate with Make?
I didn't have any skills with Make. I think I just started, I did some exploring on Make, and then your videos popped up, which is why I reached out to you, and booked a call with you, which is what I would recommend. If you're wondering, it's worth the investment to book a call and see what you can, do something, start with something small. I think that's my advice, is start with something small when you're getting, when you're doing this, because it can be a lot. I think sometimes, try to take on too much, especially with, trying to learn something. And, now I know enough to be dangerous, so,
Well, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say, I noticed in the last really 4 to 6 months, we'll get on a call and it's like, you've built stuff out that I wasn't involved with. And, maybe you're stuck, or maybe you're asking the best way to do this, but your skills, have progressed to the point that eventually, when this is all running, you'll be able to maintain it yourself for the most part. If you need to build more stuff, maybe you hit a snag, but maintaining it yourself, I think, is a big deal. And that's, for me, for most people, it's like, well, that's a loss. Like, yeah, I used to work with Matt, but then you got these skills, and I don't have to help him anymore. For me, that's a win, because that's really my outlook on this work is not building technology. It's pouring it into other people. So being able to teach you the skills and help you along the way, to where you'll be make independent, if you will, at a certain point, that's what I consider a win.
Well, I think technology is always going to evolve, so there's always going to be opportunities to grow and change, um, improve, the processes. And I think it's important as for any company to review their processes,
Yeah.
on a regular basis. And like I said, I think it's good that you have an idea of like how things are happening. And I think that's the other plus to doing this is, when you, and I'm not saying anything against like getting stuff sent off to get developed. I'm not saying that, but you do the flow chart, you send it off, you come back, you're testing it, you're sending it back. You have a lot of back and forth. When we're doing like the code build, we're testing it right there, and you're saying yes, no, this is how it should work in our workflow, and so you're kind of fixing it before you get further down the line to the next step. So, and everyone knows their business best, and so they can, when it gets to a certain module, if you will, and make, is this thing functioning the way that I want it to, that I know how it needs to be done, and you can, you're handling it there versus having to go back after testing and things like that. And that's a huge, I can't even explain the time saving that is. I mean, you talk, cost as well, because you're not that back and forth. Time is money.
Right.
I think that's probably something that it's hard to explain, but that is a huge plus to doing the co-build.
Yeah. Because co-build doesn't one for one replace email back and forth. Like, you just can't compare it to email back and forth or trying to share looms and whatever. Like this is where decisions get made in real time on the fly, and then which could delay you for days if you're trying to go back and forth via email. That's why I like it, because I hate that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to work on a project. Oh, they didn't give me this piece of information I needed, so I type out an email, and instead of spending my afternoon on that project, I spend 20 minutes and then I'm waiting. And so this is I love the co-build for that reason too.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you start learning a little bit about how the program works, Make or Knack, whatever we're working in. I know Make, and you try to get as much as you can done. Then when you're jumping on the code build, you kind of get the areas that need more. As time goes and you get more familiar with it, then your code builds are more to the heavy lifting, I guess you could say, to get through. But you start. I mean, for me, I mean, I like my time spending prior to our calls getting ready, because the whole overall workflow is a huge perk, and plus for us, it's worth it's worth the time. So yeah, definitely is a way to go.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time today.
Yep.
Any last thoughts? Most embarrassing moment spent with Andy on a Zoom call or anything?
I'm not going to embarrass you. You do, you do not want me to answer that question. How's that? I will
We
just
have
let that one go.
we have a very large time, or at least I have a very large time on our calls. Maybe not so much Matt.
Hey, they're fun. They are fun. Um, I think we've worked long enough, built that rapport just to have a good time. We've become friends out of it too, which is great. Um, what I would tell anyone though who's trying to think about what to do is, I would say, start small and just start with a call. Really start with a call, get to know, so that you can get to know what the process is, and find that repetitive step first that you can automate. I mean, I think and then if you start there, then it's hard to really understand the possibilities. I
Yeah.
think right out of the gate, I would say that would be hard to do. But if you just kind of like, I think there's some areas I could improve and automate. just start with something small, and then it'll start opening the door. Your mind be like, oh, that was great. Now I'm gonna start. What about this? And then this, and it just kind of evolves. But I would try not to like figure it all out in the beginning because it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
That's
It's
my
a journey.
advice.
Yeah. Good advice. All right. Thank you, my friend.
All right, anytime.